Hi everyone, you're listening to the Vialucci podcast, uncensored and completely unedited discussions about life and everything in it. We hope you enjoy the show.
3, 2, 1, and we are live now. We're in.
Hello.
We're in.
We're
in. We're all fresh and ready to go.
Good day. I'm non-time
Good
specific.
evening. Yeah, you're non-binary. Does that work time-wise?
No,
Non-binary.
Not really.
Yeah, okay.
Hello, listeners. There we
Hello,
go.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. For episode what
99.8.
Oh, God, 99.8. I'm not going over that 100 until we're in the new studio. But what do we do? I mean, we were joking about A, B, but I don't want to get to ludicrous. But I think we have to space it out or do a special or something like that. There's a non-binary number.
Well,
What's
yes.
this with non-binary?
I don't know.
Like
I thought it was
binary
being
I know,
number
you
is
got
like,
it you got it on the mind now. You're just like,
Okay.
because for posterity's sake, we are still in lockdown. We are still in national
still
lockdown.
in lockdown with nothing on the
lockdown
horizon.
number 3, in case anyone was wondering.
Yes. But there
Return
wasn't
of the
really a
lockdown.
break. It's like
Yeah,
the
it didn't feel
difference
like there was a
between,
break. Yeah.
like London and Croydon. I know they're separate cities, but I can't see a gap between them.
Oh, I don't know. It's a bit of a leap, but it's just in my head. Did you see the article about Subway being not sued because somebody found out that their tuna isn't tuna?
Oh, their tuna isn't tuna, yeah.
Yeah. I can't.
In America, this is, I think.
Can you bring it up? I can't
Apparently, their
remember
bread isn't bread either.
Yeah, under Irish law, their bread is
Yeah,
bread.
that was it, yeah.
It's,
But what else
I
would
think
it
it's something
be?
like pudding or...
I thought it was like, yeah, it's a Jaffa cake.
Yes, I think it's a dessert. It's technically a dessert. Yeah, because
Well,
it's,
the taxes are different, aren't they, for the desserts
Yes.
and bread? So I think that's what the thing.
so let me try and find...
But you think, don't ruin your brand by just money grabbing like that. If it's tuna, don't you know how wrong that is to call it tuna? I can't remember what it actually was then. It was like,
I think if they can
a-
survive Gerard, then they can survive their tuna being a bit funky.
Subway's tuna is not tuna, but a mixture of various concoctions, a lawsuit alleges.
but it's fish still, is it? I'm assuming it must be. It's not like wood chippings or something.
Well, who knows?
Soaked in mayonnaise.
Oh, this is in the Northern District of California. The complaint alleges the ingredient billed as tuna for the chain sandwiches and wraps contains absolutely no tuna. So not some,
Okay.
none.
All right.
So is it a fish still?
I'm just
It's like
scanning
chicken
through.
or something. How'd you get away with that? Come on, do your job.
Based on
Who's-
independent lab tests of multiple samples taken from Subway locations in California, the tuna is a mixture of various concoctions that do not constitute tuna, yet have been blended together by defendants to imitate the appearance of tuna. So it doesn't quite say, oh, we found that the ingredients were not tuna and not fish, the attorney
Not
said.
fish.
So it's two plaintiffs are identified in the complaint.
So can you
Well-
Google like what is
Well, I believe
the
that's probably
replacement?
the matter of the...
But to say it's
Yeah.
not fish, that's no joke. I mean, that's got to be.
Yeah,
Well,
because if they
do-
said,
do-
it's a bit... Oh, sorry, Charles.
That was because, do you remember in this country when they had a scandal of quite a few years, about 3-4 years ago?
The horse meat.
When they,
that's what I was
when they
gonna say,
found
yeah.
out there was horse meat and like lots of stuff, like lots of chicken and like pork and stuff. Yeah.
But were
Found
they
all
actually
types of
selling
stuff.
things as
Yeah.
a different type of meat?
Well,
Well, how's that legal? Like, come
It
on.
wasn't. It
But you
wasn't
go-
in this country, but
Apparently, Apparently, Subway have responded to this by it's great a bit of marketing. This, maybe who knows? Maybe it's a guerrilla marketing scheme. Everything's like
Oh, right. Yeah.
it's real now. They're offering deals on tuna subs.
The prices are twice the amount that they were
No.
before.
I think it's. I mean, the thing is, I must say, I've had Subways. I think it tastes like tuna to me.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. But it's
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's not like something where you have a meat replacement. You're like, no, that doesn't. If I go home and make a tuna meal, I'm like, it tastes exactly the same.
You had crab sticks for years, didn't you? Until they have to say fish sticks because there
Yeah.
was actually no crab in them. It's just I don't know what they're made out of.
I hate
It's
them.
like, oh, I like them. But the thing is, you feel like this isn't a food. Is this rubber? Is this some lot of toy? I mean, like it's weird. It shouldn't shine. Like, why is food shiny?
yeah, no, sort of. Good food doesn't shine like that.
Yeah, you can't comb your hair in food. But yeah, there was another article I saw. It was about, actually, you might be able to read this. You know, the influencers were getting in trouble because they're all still sodding off to like Dubai and the Emirates and all that.
All the influencers.
Yeah, I mean, because they were literally posting photographs of them being in these places. And I think a lot of them got done because they was like, no, you shouldn't be there. Why are you there? But I love the fact of just they're so insular mentally of just, I have to be seen, like that everything. I don't care about coronavirus. I don't care about anything else. I am traveling to places to have a single photograph taken of me because I need to be looked at. It's like so base. There's just nothing else. It's just look at me of a photograph. Yeah, but people are dying. You shouldn't be on plane. You shouldn't be here. I don't care. I'm not even bothered.
Claiming they're essential workers.
Yeah, I'm just. The world revolves around me, so I am going to get on a plane, go wherever I like, and everyone can die. Like that's basically what they do. They just go and it's so odd. It really is odd.
Social media is also full of lots of pictures of people taking drugs and stuff illegally. So like going like woo, So people are stupid. What can I say?
Yeah, if you're getting high, hide your phone because you don't know what you're going to be posting, and I wake up the next day. Oh no, what did I put on Instagram?
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. Is I'm glad I'm not going. I'm not a kid now. You know what I mean? So it just seems like a lot of stress and a lot of
Yeah, you need to have a lot more restraint than you did before because a lot more.
You get away
risk.
with a lot more back then because no one was recording.
Nobody knew.
Yeah.
Well, the good news, I saw Biden. He's doing away with private prisons, so that I was surprised by that. He's apparently knocking them ahead, or the certain type of them, or something, or funding for them, or something. He's not getting rid of them.
He's going through a raft of executive orders, isn't he?
He's doing a little bit more than I expected, which I don't know. I mean, that's all right. But because whenever a politician does something good, you go, right, there's always something else behind it. Yeah, he's doing away with that, and it's like a sleight of hand where, he's doing well there, but he did this thing over here that actually meant in 10 years that they can do worse than they did. There's always, they don't take anything away. There's always some manoeuvring that's somewhere along the line. I said before, but this thing I was reading about, chasing these big companies for their taxes, and all they do is eventually, when they've cornered them, they have to pay their taxes. They're not paying them. It's just they agree to put out an article to say they're going to pay this, and this, but then it turns out they're getting a tax break. That's why they've admitted to it, but they're going to get a smaller tax break over the next 20 years, which means they'll get all that money back that they have paid in taxes back through the other way. Do you know what I mean? They're never going to pay the thing that they should, but if they need the government needs the PR to say yes, they're going to pay back 500 million. But what they don't tell you is they only agree to do that, pay their own tax that they should have had, because over the next 10 years they're going to get 20 million back. It's just it used to be
a thing whereby sometimes I don't know whether they still do this, but I know this was a thing about 5-10 years ago where companies in Britain would basically refuse to pay tax for a few years.
Yeah.
I know that this is one case specifically. I know details of this with Vodafone. They refused to pay tax for about 4 or 5 years. And they racked up a tax bill of about 300-400 million. And then they turned around and said, look, we don't have 300 or 400 million like cash to pay off a tax bill like that because that's too much. And we just can't, we have assets and we do have cash, but we don't have that much. So we can't pay it. And then they took the head of the tax office and the head of Vodafone went off for a private weekend to some hotel and some complex, and they had dinner and spent the weekend together. And after that, they agreed that they didn't have to pay it. Funny that, isn't it? It's weird. Yeah. Probably just a coincidence, isn't it? I don't know. Yeah. And I swear that was after the recession as well. That was after 2008.
Yeah,
so the country needed money in the coffers,
But it's just the same type of people getting in, and that's why nothing changes. No person with personal integrity comes in and says, I don't care about the way you get away with this, and I don't go to your private members clubs. I don't know who you are. I'm in now, and you're going to pay the taxes you're due. We're not going to have meetings and backroom things and do deals because my political career. I'm just going to come in and no, what you're doing wrong. That's shut down. Now you're doing it. Are you going to dispute? Okay, see you later. This is the way things work. You don't. like with Biden, he'll come in and, the Republicans this, and we've got to make a deal here, and the way I look and all these things, which basically
I'm the deals guy. I make deals.
yeah. Oh God. Yeah. The worst deals, the most selfish, pointless, repugnant deals.
Yeah.
And even that you do badly.
Yeah. Joe Biden has been doing some positive stuff, it seems, on the face of it.
Yeah.
All of these are unfortunately executive orders, it seems like. And of course they can be rescinded, and the real proof for him is whether he can actually get anything through Congress.
Yeah.
Especially in the next 2 years when he has both houses. He has an opportunity now to actually have put in some legislation that may have big effects and may have a lasting effects. And it'll be interesting to see whether he can actually, because for the last 20 odd years, I mean, really since the Patriot Act, since 9/11, the Patriot Act, they've been struggling to get any meaningful legislation through,
But a lot of like the Republicans, they're not even sort of trying to give off a pretense anymore. They're just going, no, we don't care. We don't like you, so we're not doing anything you want. And it's like, you do know, like, you have voters for vote. Yeah, we don't care. We hate you. Like, it's just that level. It's just like, no, we're just going to stop you. We don't care.
Well, they're voting against the stimulus deal, which is going to give money to private companies and private citizens in America because the coronavirus, the economy's doing poorly. They don't want it to crash. They want a recession. This seems to be a no-brainer. You know what I mean?
Then they gave $2 trillion away to the rich like a few years ago. It's like, and people vote them back in because oh my God, you do know like you're ripping off your own face just to annoy the other side. Did you see, because Trump's been having problems with like his legal teams getting somebody to sort of defend him on stupidity, and people are like, you don't pay anyone, and you want us to sacrifice our dignity of a company. It'd be one thing if at least we got our money at the end, but you never pay anybody. Yeah, and they all know he's in debt anyway, and the money, the debts are now going to come back on him soon. But did you see the spelling mistakes on his new legal team's forms? Oh, don't tell me you didn't see it.
I heard about this. I didn't.
The new one, though.
Yeah. So it literally, on the first page of this document that his legal team put together as defence, they spelt United States wrong. On the first page, it said United States, and then within the first 8 pages, they spell United States again wrong 3 times. This is on the presidential.
Was that the new one? Because I know that like
it was 3 days ago. 3 days ago.
Okay, because they had this issue with some of those lawsuits they were filing in November and December after the election, about the election results. They had lots of stuff, and they had things that were they were introducing evidence that was from numbers and statistics from a different state. They were putting they were doing a legal action in one state, and then they had actually brought in lots of stuff, and they said no, sorry, I think it was like Idaho or in Ohio or something, and they were like they sounded similar, and they'd used the wrong numbers, and they were like, no, this is completely wrong. This numbers are completely wrong.
But I mean, you mentioned one thing, but then you go, but there was another 10 things that were similar like that, and you go, but imagine a big legal firm putting in a document where you spell on the first page United States wrong. Like, what was that? Just knocked up at night time while one person was half asleep? There's no professional.
Half drunk. You say half asleep. Half drunk. Come on.
Just
they
sat
probably
on
got,
your own.
whoever, Jared Kushner to do it, or Don Jr. or one of them.
United
they've got no one to work
States.
with.
Yeah, but think how many times you've seen those words United, and you spelled
you
it
live
wrong
in that
3
country
times
as well.
Yeah. But
it almost has to be willful. Like it almost has to. Like, otherwise, it's impossible. It has to be willful.
Yeah, of course, it's not impossible.
That's stupid.
This is coming from Sharpie Boy, who thought, "Here's the graph. This is where the weather's going." I'll tell you what. I'll just go. Oh, it's also going here.
They'll probably just say that it's not true. That is how United States is spelled. Like it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Facts are irrelevant.
Yeah, if you go back far
fake
enough, the D was actually an S, and that's what we're doing. We're doing.
Well, no, they'll just say
Victorian
every
style.
report is not true. All those images are doctored by the radical left. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Humanity is doomed.
Yeah.
And there's no point.
just open up a beer, put your feet up, and watch it crash.
I'm just like that. Tonight I'm watching the Super Bowl with my housemate. We're gonna get very drunk. We're gonna eat a lot of chicken wings, and that'll be fine. And then when we're in the domes underneath the ground, fighting off hordes of Morlocks in in 10 years, we'll look back fondly on this night.
I'm just gonna sit here and sharpen my sword.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
Your
just enjoy your
sword.
life because it's all fucked.
Talking off, I didn't know there was a.
Who's playing in the Super Bowl, by the way?
It is the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, the Chiefs didn't change their name. I thought they did. Or was that the Redskins? That was it.
It was
Redskins.
it's Washington football team. You mean?
Oh, really? Is that what
formerly the
So what are they
Redskins.
called now?
Apologies. They're just called the Washington football team.
No.
Washington football team.
The Washington football team.
But a lot of people have pointed out that that's probably a very clever marketing ploy because obviously I understand that people, some people maybe don't appreciate us using the slur, but it is a matter of record that that's what the team was called. So the Washington Redskins changed their name to the Washington football team. And we could, that's such a placeholder name, but that's quite clever because arguably you can have 1, 2, however many years, everyone's got to buy the new stuff because they can't wear the old Redskins things. So they've got to buy the new Washington football team. And then they go, do you know what? We've settled on a new team with the Washington, Thunderbolts with the Washington this. And then you've got to buy the new kit again because otherwise you're out of date. It's.
But I thought that's natural anyway. I thought they naturally do that.
No. I mean, every year there'll be slight variations of the kit. But broadly speaking, if you have, for example, a Newcastle United shirt, you're pretty safe with it being black and white forever.
Oh, right, okay.
Obviously, the shirts
they get very thing about the colours, don't they? Like teams change their colours, even the away strips. Like they start changing the colours around. People go nuts. So.
Or people get nostalgic for the old away kits and stuff.
Yeah.
The what usually happens, you usually have a pretty solid home kit. Then the second kit is usually roughly the same, but not always. And then the third kit is always appalling.
Yeah.
It's always some weird.
It's like a bright pink or something. And
So it's the Super Bowl tonight, is it?
Yeah.
I used to play American football at school. I used to force them to play American football when nobody even knew what it was. I used to play in an actual team, and I used to like sit up at 4 a.m. before I went to school and watch it at night.
What were you called?
No, it was just like in playground. But then I don't want to say the name of the team because I got kicked out. But it was actually an official team in a thing. But because I was too young. But I used to love it. And but then I went off the rails. And then when I came back to it, like about 10, 15 years ago, everyone started to like it. When nobody over here knew about American football.
Actually, I've just realised I'm sure it's not going to be an issue for us because I don't think we have enough listeners. Technically, we're not allowed to say
What?
Super Bowl.
Why?
Oh,
because it's trademarked. So we have to say the big game.
But we're not. What we have to? What do you mean? How can you?
Well, I guess probably because we're not paying people. Probably because we're free. We can probably get away with it.
But what do you mean to say the word?
Yeah,
it's trademarked. I think. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but
without
Apple's
permission.
a trademark. You can say
but
Apple.
without. It depends on how the sports is very litigious about things like talking about them. So, for example, reading the foot. You see on the football. On the news, it'll be like Accrington Stanley 0.
Yeah.
Rotherham and Dagenham 3, that kind of thing. That is, you have to pay to have a license to do that. You do.
Oh, to actually read out, like be an official reporter of the...
Yeah, to read it out.
Yeah, but we're just talking about the sport.
No.
Really.
I mean, if you said, for example, the score, United beat whoever last night, casually.
Right.
But if we went through the full, say,
results.
So you have to be licensed then?
Yeah.
I thought you couldn't refer to it. I thought, we can talk about the sport of American football.
Yeah, no, the big game. We have to talk about the big game. I'm going to make
when everyone started getting into it over here, I was like, I've sod this. I'm no longer a fan. So I just turned off from it. Especially
so you were a hipster American football.
Proper,
UK American football fan. Yeah.
I'm talking about like the age of 14, getting kids to play and teaching them how to play it at school. And then I played for a team in North London, but they found I was young. Then I remember when it came over to England and they had their own team, and they were like bringing it over here like once a year, like a one-off game.
Yeah, they used to play in Wembley, didn't they?
Yeah, but it had unfortunately the English team. It was all Americans, and it only had one English guy on there who was the kicker. So it wasn't quite an American English team. But now they're all over the place. In fact, they're in the magazine. We put them in as a burgeoning sport in the Vialucci magazine, which is now 5 years out of date. That American football was one of the sports because it was still before then. It was still people didn't really know about it.
No,
so now everyone likes it. I'm like, yeah, sod you. I don't want to know
Well,
anymore.
I think when you say everyone likes it, I think you mean in the UK. I think NFL was pretty popular in America.
No, over here, once everybody over here started to like it, I was like, sod you, I'm getting out of here.
Still, biggest game in the world, cricket.
You reckon?
Yeah, cricket is the biggest game.
Yeah. Most watched thing. I think one of the most watched things ever was India versus Pakistan. like test match.
Oh, we got the big hefty countries behind it with all the I suppose,
You got billions of people like, watching that. Yeah, they literally have like the whole country. It's worse than like when England play in the World Cup. Like literally, it's like Christmas Day. Like the streets are empty. Like there's no cars around. It's like that.
Just me driving around from office to office.
Where is
Like shaking your
everyone?
fist at everyone and
Where
going
is
to the sea to
everyone?
yell at it.
Yeah, get back to work. Yes,
Council Christmas.
Yeah, I didn't even go to the Christmas didn't happen this year, so I just ignored it. So I didn't go to the beach or anything like that.
Didn't go yell at the sea.
But so I had my he's just created this thing where we
Because it's such a bit.
you bastard.
For anyone who I'm sure any of our listeners, anyone who knows you, can totally picture it.
Yeah.
Just both fists clenched,
Punching the
screaming.
sea, punching the water. Elbow dropping off the rocks. Yeah, I see it as I'm mocking myself now. I see it as a sort of Charlton Heston. You
Maniacs.
You
maniacs.
What have you done? It's only partially true.
Yeah, well,
Which is
I had a moment like that. Like I didn't say a couple of weeks ago. It was a couple of days after New Year's Day, so it's like January the 2nd or 3rd or something.
Yeah.
I went for a walk in the woods, and basically, kind of about 5-6 miles away from me, there's like a nuclear weapons factory. Okay, so I live in the middle of the countryside. There's a nuclear weapons factory in the next valley, basically, and I heard a siren. Like nuclear, like the bombs are coming.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And like, it was just around all that time Trump was going nuts and like everything was going
Did you
weird.
think that was it, Charles?
I honestly, for a second, I did. And I literally pulled out the thing. Pulled out my earphones. I was like, what that? I was like, where? Because literally I was in the woods. Like,
you never
I was like,
know. You never
where
know.
is that sound coming from? And I'm like, it must be the weapons. It must be the nuclear weapons facility. And I'm like, and I was literally like, you maniacs!
Damn you!
Fools!
Damn
You
you.
blew it all up! And I honestly got on my phone and I had to check to see whether the bombs weren't coming.
Yeah, I honestly I'm
Couldn't
not
get a
being funny.
signal though, so I was still not.
I mean, it might be me panicking, but once, it was about 7 or 8 years ago, I was driving, only slowly, and all the power went in the car. And I swear to God, my first thought was, oh, it could be like an electrical
EMP.
pulse thing. It will cut out the
Oh,
electrics.
an EMP, yeah.
But I mean, seriously, that was my thought of like, oh, actually look to go, because you're not going to be told it's happening.
No, of course
If there was genuine attack, it will be in a normal, it won't be anything special. It will just be a weird day that you didn't know was happening. So like, yeah, if I heard the alarm coming out, you go, well, that could be it. Like, I don't know what would happen if there was is there a known thing of what would happen if it would all channels
I'm not really sure
suddenly
if
emergency
I'm not sure if
broadcasts?
anyone's really used EMP in anger, because it's one of these things that. Sorry, everyone, I'm a bit. It's
No,
one
but I
of these
mean,
things
would
that,
something suddenly cut in to say on news channels, or is that gone now?
There are, I believe, there are still nuclear, alerts, but I mean,
emergency
sort of,
broadcast would just
There is a standard broadcasting, isn't there?
yeah.
The BBC have one, and they do update it. I think.
I mean, if you say it's a pre-recorded thing,
Yes,
they
pre-recorded.
know they will have to.
And now on BBC One, death.
The
in other
apocalypse.
news. I mean, you can't really go back to the old show. Once you've said the bit, you can't really go back to. Just don't worry
be a
about putting the
bit
channel back
awkward
on.
on the one show. Hi everyone, we're all
You're
about to
gonna
be
do-
irradiated, but
Anyway,
here's a
back.
dog that juggles.
I love. There's a bit in the Kentucky Fried Movie, which is a very silly sort of sketch show film, done by the Airplane guys, like Naked Gun guys,
Oh,
and they did this bit where they cut to these newsreaders every now and then. They go, what was it? Yeah, New York in flames, missiles headed to Moscow, film at 11. Which I always just love.
oh, talking of films, I didn't know there was. We've always gone about Samurai Cop and the what's it called? The Door. What's the other one? The
Room.
The Room. I didn't know there was a Samurai Cop 2. Have you not seen it?
Okay. Yeah.
And it's actually got the guy from the
it's
Door.
got Tommy Wiseau in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not the guy, and it's one of those things. It's a self-aware kind of thing.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
the main bloke of Samurai Cop hasn't come back into it, has it, or has it?
Oh,
Was
he is. No, he is in
He
it.
is.
Yeah.
So what's it not?
It's got loads of the people in it.
Isn't it in the future? Like something's happened and he's brought back to life or something. 'Cause I've only seen the trailer.
It goes quite quickly off the rails because like
It's definitely in the future.
Well, it's set sort of contemporarily. It's set like 20 years later, 25 years later, 30 years later. And yeah, it has most of the cast. I think it's got Frank in it as well. And even the guy he chops the arm off as well turns up. He has a chat with him.
Yeah, because the black fella's definitely in it. I recognise
Frank. Yeah. So it has all that, and then it goes off the rails because Tommy Wiseau's in an underwater base, and then he has all these kind of sexy Asian assassin women with him, and like the trouble is it's trying to make a bad film, and it's trying to be in on the joke.
Yeah,
so hey, we're being cool, and it lacks. It never works. And well, it's very difficult to do. You can do stuff like that, but it's difficult to do. And the really good bad films are the ones that are genuine.
Yeah, of course. It has to be accidental.
Yeah. They have a sort of a genuineness, and they genuinely want to tell. Like Samurai Cop, they genuinely wanted to make a Lethal Weapon, type of film, and they just failed spectacularly. Like The Room, he really wanted to make a proper drama, a really emotive drama, and a good showcase for his acting ability. And of course, he is one of the weirdest people ever. So
I've read some. I think it was the Wikipedia or something like that, and there was a thing about like how did he pay for this film? Because he was lying about, he was saying he was importing goods, but they're saying, but this costs a lot of money. And then he went on to do other
coats
stuff.
Or something.
Yeah, that was it, yeah. And they're saying, well, you can't have made that sort of money because I think it costs a certain amount of million to do. And you go, well, how was it? There was a discrepancy of where this money came from. But I didn't. Did you know any more about that? Or you just.
He's apparently the budget was $6 million in the end.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
The fact that it is wild because
I don't know where that.
It's a couple of sets. It's mostly set in the titular room. Like literally, there is mostly done in one set. There is a blue screen for the roof. Apparently, he bought all the equipment and he bought all the cameras rather than renting.
But I thought when they were honestly, the first time I saw it, that when they're on the roof, I actually thought that was a room that was supposed to be a drawing on the wall. Like, I didn't know, that's the best they could do. I genuinely thought, that's like a artwork sort of thing. You go, oh no, that's...
You mean when he comes out onto the roof and he's all like, I did not hit her, I did not. I never really noticed that.
When I was reading on the Wikipedia, it was saying how a lot of the editing where it sounds differently was because he forgot his lines and they just dubbed stuff on afterwards. And sometimes they say, when he's like, there was a shop, when he's in the shop and it's that thing, but it's all broken up. They said what had happened
the flower shop scene.
Yeah.
Hi, doggy.
He couldn't remember his lines. So what he was saying was just anything that came to his head. And then the actor would have to sort of like work around it. Because he's not saying what he's supposed, but he kept doing it. He couldn't learn. So if you walk in to say something, he
wrote the script as well. It's like
he couldn't remember.
That's a little bit naughty.
There was no effort. He couldn't remember anything. So if you come in and you can't remember something, you just say something else. Rather, the actor then has to sort of like.
So not like improvising something.
No,
I'll be honest. I've never seen The Room. I've only seen the clips. So,
if you've got no improvising talent and you go in and you forget what you're saying,
but he's not even improvising along the lines of.
It was more. It seemed to be more like he thought he could just do whatever. He didn't understand making a film, so he thought if I forget something, I'm just going to say something else, and then the actor has to sort of like work around that. But then that's it, cut, done. You go, but that doesn't. It was just nonsense because you just
embarrassing.
There's, there's wonderful story of, oh goodness, I think it's Steven Seagal, and it's these actors, and it was this, it's like a serial killer film he did in the early 90s. I'm completely spacing on the name, and some of the people talking about, they basically he was like, yeah, I don't like the ending, so I'm not going to do that, and they're like, what do you mean? Like he goes, we're not gonna kill the bad guy because I just had a change of heart. Like, why can't I just be his friend instead? And they're like, no, because it doesn't make any sense in the story. You've chased him into the church. You're confronting the serial killer. He's got the woman hostage, and then so basically he was like, okay, and then he turned up and just did the scene the way he wanted to do it, and then just walked off after one take, and then wouldn't come back. I think it might have been the last scene they shot as well, for some reason, which is odd because very rarely things are in order, but it just happened to be the last thing. apparently, like this film, it's really funny because I did actually catch it on TV, and I was sort of half watching it, and I was like, "Oh, this is the one with the ending." And they basically had to completely re-edit the ending, and the ending doesn't make any sense, and it's really oddly shot. And they couldn't get some of the actors back, but they had to reshoot it basically. And I think someone's back. It's supposed to be Steven Seagal, but it's back of someone else's head, And they tried to ADR some lines from before, from earlier, and it was a complete mess, and none of it makes any sense. It's brilliant.
Yeah, because obviously you could sue them, but then your film's still down the pan. If it goes to court, you can't sort of force somebody who's a lunatic who says at the end, "No, I want to do something differently." We can't.
What do? You stand there with a gun and make them say the lines.
Yeah, you can only sue them, but then that's the end of the film's gone. If you end up in court, that's it. Well, so you sort of have to sort of go. If there's a recognisable star, he does sort of have the power to go, okay, I'll walk away and pay the fine, but your film's gone now then. Or you just let me do what I'm going to... It's mental.
Because it can happen afterwards. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Charles.
No, go. Sorry.
I was just going to say, because it can happen afterwards where people can say, for example, often it's in contracts, for example, that you have to take part in the, the PR circuits, you have to go on the chat shows, you have to, and people can get that. It doesn't happen often because people do it because they know otherwise they're going to get blacklisted, but sometimes people refuse to do it or they're just very obnoxious and they get in trouble.
I was talking about listening to the Michael Parkinson audiobook, and he talks about people he's met, Muhammad Ali and all these amazing, and he talks about the worst interview he had with Meg Ryan.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah, I know the one.
She's just so obtuse. She's just sat there for no. And you know how friendly Michael Parkinson. He's just, he's
he
very
does
affable.
kind of confront her, doesn't he? Though he says, you're wary of me.
Yeah, only because she's been miserable. I think he says he goes into he says before I go on to any show we do any show, I always pop my head in the door to them and quickly say hello. Nice to meet you. Is there anything you'd specifically like me to ask you? So it's very basic.
Can I set you up for a few, a few nice stories?
But he said to him, it's just like to let them know I'm on your side, sort of thing. And but he said she was just quite rude. And apparently, what he found out afterwards is she hated the film she was doing, and there was a bit of a thing about her not wanting to go and promote it anyway. So she went on there to sort of spite, like she had to go on there, part of the contract, but she thought, okay, I'll go on. But Michael Parkinson was irrelevant. It was just, okay, I'm going to go on. I'm going to do it terribly.
I suppose it's a contractual obligation.
But to be on there, but to just be so rude.
Can you remember what the film was? I'm just curious. Was it that weird boxing one? She did some weird boxing film, didn't she?
But she didn't like it, and there was some...
Yeah, apparently. I haven't seen it, but I remember
I just thought, how rude of you to be looking at another person's face, and just because you want to spite your agent or manager or whatever it is, to be rude to him on live TV. Well, it's just bloody pathetic. So talking to celebrities, so something did pull me out of the whole Trump thing. So I had a bit of and it was the William Shatner thing that I said to you, I listened to. And I knew sort of what it was going in. I don't know too much about him, but I got into the whole thing of what he is. But I didn't realise how bad and like expansive because his whole life. And I was trying to keep mental notes of like the things he was saying and incidents and how he talked about things. And about 40 minutes in, I couldn't keep up with what he was saying, like the amount of things that were so bad and so wrong and so delusional, to the point where I honestly thought about 40 minutes in, I was thinking, this can't be real. And I was starting to listen. I was thinking, oh, hang on. I think he's sort of like mocking himself because he's in his 80s or whatever it is. I think he was playing up to himself. But then I come to the realization, oh, no, he's not. He's not like mocking himself. He literally doesn't know that he's mocking, like he doesn't know how he sounds to himself. Yeah. And he would do like anecdote after anecdote. Again,
is he reading it?
Yeah, so it's great because you get that feeling of like amazing. The way. Yeah. And also the other, with him talking on it, it's another good thing because it's not like any other audiobook, because from what the way he was talking, and he just quickly go off on riffs, just start and laughing at things. And I thought, oh, he's obviously not being given a complete script. He's not reading an autoprompter word to word, but he's getting some sort of vague thing. And then he's just randomly talking about it, sort of like a live show sort of thing. But it's because, and at the end it confirmed it because it says about the editor, he thanks him for just putting up with him and letting me do the angelic of letting me just do what I want and not giving me any pressure. And it sounded like there was some sort of battle editorially, but the guy just let him do it. And it was, but it's quite good because it does sound like he's just chatting, and it does stop and focus on certain things where you can see, oh yes, he's now started talking about this and this, but it's very conversational and he's just laughing at things and going off on riffs about stuff.
So it's less him reading an autobiography, his autobiography, or,
Yeah,
or
definitely
a
not. He's not doing that.
It's more of a
giving
sort of Q&A
sections.
kind of thing. If
Yeah.
you've been to one of those, famous person.
It is a reading of an autobiography, but it's not word for word. You do get the fact that he's adding things in, and I remembered that, and blah blah blah.
Oh, okay.
That's
quite an interesting format, though. That's
it is. No, it actually sounds different. But
Yeah.
the thing is, I kept thinking he was joking. And my brain was going, no, he's definitely reflecting on what people think of him and he's playing on there. But then you go, well, there must be a point where this turns off. But then it goes back to child and I think he's not joking. This can't be real. And it's just one anecdote after the other. And a lot of them just go nowhere. And I'm thinking, what is he seeing that he's saying in this story that goes nowhere? I mean, there was one, he's got this thing about, oh God, it's so mental. He thinks there's something very, 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 very special about him. And it's not a joke. I mean, and he says things like, he talks about death, and I'm not kidding, things that should be like a couple of minute things. And if it's to do with him, it goes on for like 40 minutes of nothing about him. And he talks about dying at the end, and he just can't comprehend that he's going to die. But it's very personal to him. Like he's saying, like, I'm not kidding you. He says at one point, actually, at the beginning when it starts with the scare that he thought he had cancer. And he says, which sounds like a joke. He says, and the guy said, you're going to die, blah, blah, blah. You've only got so much time. And he said, but die? What, me? He said, and then he goes, I understand other people are going to die, but not me. And I'm going, okay. But he will then talk about it again and go over the same thing. You go, well, surely the editor said you can't go back and start talking about the same thing again, which is why I was saying about the conversation. It sounds like he's not being given any direction.
No one's editing, obviously. He's
And there was one bit where I thought, okay, so that made me think, oh, he's not joking, because he talks about his wife's death, right? Well, he talks about his pets, and he goes on about his pets a lot. Like he's written poems to them, and he reads them out, and they go on forever. And then he talks about the moment he finds his wife dead in a swimming pool.
In the swimming pool. No, that was really that was very sad.
And
I did see him afterwards, and he was.
He says, "I was very upset and blah blah blah, and it took me a year to get over it." And that's it. You don't hear what happened. But then he'll spend half an hour on his pets. I go, hang on, what was the thing about your wife being found dead? He just says she was an alcoholic.
Probably doesn't want to talk about it.
No, that's what I was thinking. But it was nothing, because then he goes on about, but he just said, oh, he was very upset about it, blah, blah, blah. But then he doesn't go, and he talks about his wives. And like it's almost like he's having a go at them. But there's like one wife after the next. And each one is sort of like not his fault. He's sort of like, well, she this and she that. And I bought her a house. And I'm thinking, but at no point does he actually say, what happened? What the relationship?
Static home.
There was one anecdote, and I'm telling you, they go nowhere. Where you go, that can't be it. He says one, and everything.
I don't know, Theo. I feel like people in glass houses.
Put those stones down. Yeah.
No, but everything goes through like you think. What is he seeing in this story that he's telling me? But it's something about him always being special, and to the point where sometimes you go, is he lying? Because there's one, right? So there's one where he says, I was trying to get, it's the Alan Partridge things. He's always bigging himself up and putting somebody else down in every story. He goes, we were going somewhere and it was snowing and I had to get somewhere and everyone was saying, let's cancel the show. But I was like, no. And Big John, he said, I'm not driving in this snow. So I said, right, let me take over. So everyone who didn't want to go, they got in the back. I drove. And so this one bit, he's driving and he said, then out, I honestly got it. He's so over dramatic. He says, out of the snow, we see, I think it was an Audi, and it was facing the wrong way in the snow because nobody could get through. And he's not saying this is a joke. He's nobody could get through, but I knew I could do it. I didn't know how, but I knew I could. And at one point, this Audi is facing us, looking this way, coming towards us, like it's spun out of control when the lights are on. And I thought there was going to be a story like, he got out, he helped, and he found his wife. So we drove past, and I go, hang on, but what was the thing about the Audi? So we carried on driving. And I thought, oh, so there's no story about that Audi. So he's still driving in the snow, and we went to a bar, and I'm thinking it's gonna be something. And he says, and then we got back in the car, and we carried on driving for another 2 hours, and then out of the snow, I saw the exact same Audi, and it was facing us again. This exact same car that I'd seen before was in the same position. Anyway, so we ended up in Pennsylvania too, and I'm going, hang on, but what was the thing? Was it the same car? Was it you're talking about spirit? You keep talking about spirituality thing. I don't know what that, and that's it, done. But that was like a 25-minute story, like something about these two cars.
Apparently, his Twitter is basically that. His Twitter is basically like a stream of consciousness from a very weird, bitter, 70-year-old man, basically. There's a wonderful video from Red Letter Media where they get in an argument on Twitter with William Shatner. They're big Star Trek fans as well. So they broke their hearts to be able to it's called Boomer Fight. Basically arguing about like what a podcast was. We don't do a podcast. It's fine. It looks like you do a podcast. No, we really don't do a podcast.
He has a thing about him and being in touch with the world that nobody else sees, which is really weird. He says there's one point of like he's in the sea and I think it's a porpoise or something like that. No, what was it? A monk, not a monkfish. There's like a monk whale or something like that. He says, I suddenly felt something beneath my feet. And this is when I thought, is he lying? And he says, then I felt the thing go round me and I thought it was like a shark. But then I felt there's two flippers come round me and hold me. And I turned around and the fish looked at me and I was looking at him. And then it swam off. And at that time, I knew I had a moment with the fish. And then that's it. He says, nobody believed me.
Gave me a high five and went, you the man.
Yeah, and I'm going.
I went, no, you the man.
Yeah, but a fish held you and you had a moment with it. And then but he said, nobody believed me. And then on to the next story. And you go, but I don't know what you're saying. Explain what more than.
What's the significance of the fish?
He talks, there's a few things he talks about. When he talks about the understanding he has of the world. And do you know what it's like? I was thinking, imagine he talks like a 12-year-old to sort of 5-year-olds. But the 5-year-olds, you go, no, we're not 5-year-olds, we're 40-year-olds. We do know what you're talking. He talks about like love. He even talks about acting, but it's like, yeah, we know. But he thinks like he's teaching you something. He was talking about acting. I'm telling you now, at the beginning, he says, one of the biggest problems I have is when I'm playing Kirk, people thought I was Kirk, but they never understood it wasn't me. I'm me. Kirk was an act. And he literally says those words, it was an act. And you go,
yeah, but you've got to remember he's got
but then
legions of Trek, Trek fans being like, "Oh, Captain Kirk," and he's like, "Actually,"
and advisors and hangers-on and crew just all going.
Later on, he goes back to acting again. There's about 4 or 5 times where he repeats things he's already said, like almost not verbatim, but he's like, "That's not a different take on what you've said. You've just repeating yourself." And he talks about acting again later on because he goes on about acting at the beginning. He goes about, and he says, and "This is where you think it's a comedy." He's going. So an actor, he said, but what I realised at a certain point in my life, I think in his 40s, he said, I realised that what I would do is I would become the character. And that's what I found. I said, it's no longer me. I'm in the role. I am the person. And you go, yeah, that's acting. And then he'll talk about something else. You go, was that supposed to be like a deep... Yeah, we get it. You were playing a part.
How did I know what to say? Someone would give me the lines.
Honestly,
how did I know where to go, where to stand? Someone would tell me where to stand. It's like that bit in Extras. Like they just, when he's Gandalf's explaining, he goes, I am not really a wizard. Yeah. I don't know how to do magic. That was acting. And he's like, yeah. It's just like,
he talks about love, and love is when you feel an affinity with somebody and you like being around each other, but it doesn't get any deeper. And then he's saying it like he's teaching you something, and you go, yeah, you like the person, and yeah, you do feel an affinity. But then he'll talk about something else, and you go, surely you weren't just explaining me what love was in like very childish but I'm telling you, it's just one thing after the other where he always comes out the best. Everyone can't do something, he can. I met the fish, nobody took any notice, but with me, it hugged me and swam up. And I'm going, how did the fish hug you? You must know that's wrong. You must know that's wrong. That can't have happened.
I love that's the point where you're like, no, it's gone too far. Hugging a fish, no.
And it's
even
like
the fish thinks he's awesome. Even the fish stopped by and went,
Thanks, Captain
you're a
Kirk.
special person. I
you're
see you.
amazing. You changed my life.
I notice who you are. But it's the whole way through. It's tiring because you're trying to get through of like, no, say something meaningful. Teach me, give me something. And then I got to the end and he talks about 40 minutes about death and it doesn't stop. It should be like a 3-minute thing and it doesn't stop. And he's repeating himself. He's talking about not believing that he can die because of, look what I've done in my life. How can I die? But he's not doing it as a joke. He keeps saying things. And then it ends and you go, I don't know what that was. Was that
it's
mental
like Grandpa
health?
Simpson kind of like,
Yeah.
ramble. You're just like,
But his big thing out of it all was he is definitely special and nobody's understanding him. And he tells you things to let you know he's special. But the whole time you go, he has no clue of self-awareness at all, at anything. And he's now in his 80s and he hasn't learned anything. He's never had any he can't do it. I was even thinking I'd put him on the level of Trump, but Trump at some point knows what he is. But Shatner literally has no self-awareness and he assumes you don't know, you're not getting what he's saying. So
I think Trump's like a snake eating its own tail. Because he does bullshit, but then at some point he believes his own bullshit, and then he starts like regurgitating the bullshit, and then he gets worse and worse.
Yeah, but I think with Shatner, it just seems like, he's 80, and at no point in his life has his opinions ever changed. He's always been the same person, and nobody's seeing how special he is. And that is it. That's it. It's mental. It's almost like you could listen to that as a psychologist to go, this is what that condition is. It's perfect. It hits everything perfectly.
Shatneritis,
It is mad. Even at the end, I was contemplating it, thinking, right, what am I not seeing? You go, no, it just was some bloke with never had any self-awareness at all and never learned anything past sort of grade school level. Everything is like very childish. And he's teaching you things like he's a philosopher, but it's all like childishly basic stuff.
I love that you're thinking there's a meta element to the whole thing.
There must be. It can't be an 80-year-old hasn't learned anything. And the way he talks is like he's teaching you. It's all about letting you into the secret. You go,
that he's playing a whole character, and it's kind of really playing with the format. Yeah,
but it's stuff that you know when you're 13, and he's teaching you this. You go, I know what love is. I know acting is. I know you're not Kirk. I know that you love a pet, and I get these things. And death is the end. It's the end of everything. There is no more. I go, mate, you've got to say something. I know you're not. You're not like.
But do you think that's him trying to come to terms with the fact, because I think we all imagine other people die, but our own.
No, but the way he's saying it isn't like him thinking about it. It's like he's explaining something to you, but it's like this water is good for you. This is a thing you should drink through life, and you go,
it's natural. Yeah.
But it's like you're going, right,
fish swim in it.
Yes.
But honestly, everything is like, yeah, and then nothing, and then on to something. You go, what?
It's like Jordan Peterson. I get the same thing when I watch Jordan Peterson videos. I'm just like, and
Who's
where are you
Peterson?
going?
Sorry.
Psychologist.
He's a psychologist, right-wing kind of conservative demagogue type. And he just makes these incredibly surface level. He talks in a very verbose, over the top manner, and he makes these incredible, banal statements.
At breakfast time, many people have been known to eat cereals, and they take the box of cereal and they open the cereal, and they pour the cereal into a bowl.
Yeah, his sort of cadence doesn't help him. Yeah, because he's a smart guy. But it's like it is very robotic, and this is the stats of
I should
everything.
say to everyone that was Charles doing an impression. That wasn't.
Yeah.
Do not adjust your set.
He was doing it through the mouth of Kermit.
Yeah, well, it does sound like he's very Kermitized. But it's you're like, yeah, and it just
Well, he's another
what?
person I guessed. I saw him. Everyone's kept going on about Jordan Peterson in that interview he had with Katie something on British TV.
On Channel 4, yeah.
And it was awful because she obviously had an agenda. So I was mildly on his side at the time. I didn't know anything about him, but I said to somebody, there's something very low level autistic about him. How he reacts to things. I didn't know anything about him. I thought there's something not right there. He's a clinical psychologist for like 30 years, and he's been a professor at like for years and years and years. So he knows his stuff. But I was saying there's something off about him. And it was only like last year somebody said, he had a drug addiction. He's like recently had a drug addiction problem. I said, I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. This is a psychologist.
Benzos as well, like benzodiazepine, which is pretty strong stuff.
But I knew I could just tell the way he was talking. I thought there's something behind this. It doesn't matter how smart and things he knows. He's very smart. He's clinical psychologist for 30 years. But I thought there's something still broken there. And when there's literally and that was years ago. Somebody said, the problem. I said, I told you, I didn't know nothing. I could just hear it in his voice as somebody. They're talking like they're removed from themselves. They're talking as a character, sort of thing. Oh god. Anyway, so what have you been up to? Anything? You've been reading any nice books? You listening to any new music? Anything going on?
Well, I've been super enjoying the Disney Plus streaming show WandaVision.
Is it good? I haven't watched it yet.
Yes, it's getting really good. There was a surprise cameo last night, Friday night, and
Is this a show or a channel?
It is a streaming show. It's a Marvel streaming show.
Oh right.
The first 3 episodes were literally like a 50s sitcom with terrible jokes and like black and white and mono sounds shot in like 4:3. Yeah.
But they're trying to be clever, or are they playing on it? Bit of both.
Well, they didn't wink. And the 4th episode, it kind of starts to explain stuff. And then this last episode did something really interesting. There's spoilers.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1.
There's a reveal. One of the X-Men turns up.
Which one?
It's at the end of it. Well, Quicksilver, but it's the different Quicksilver. It's the
That
Quicksilver
one that moves fast.
Yes, it is the Quicksilver from the Fox films.
Oh, Evan Peters.
Yes, and they turn up and they're like, "Who's this?" And they're like, "It's me, your brother." And they're like, "Did they recast him?" And like, because they're watching the show on a monitor and stuff. So like, they're like. And basically that really, really clever, really interesting, and just completely blows a lot of stuff out of the water. It's a really interesting show, and they're doing something different. So and I have no idea what's going on still. So I'm totally into it.
Talking of a character, so here's a sort of like a bit of a clunky question, but I think it's interesting. So any superpower you want, you got one, and you got to live with it in the normal world, real world, Andrew.
Flight. I'm sure we've done this before.
Yeah.
No, we haven't. No, I think I might have said what character would you be?
Oh,
but flight.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Real world though, I said. So, what happens in the real world if you can fly? As soon as you stop flying, mate, the army are coming after you. This is what I mean. You've got to have real world.
Well, then don't have any superpowers. Next
Well, no,
question.
you could say invisible. Nobody's going to bother you. But if you say flying powers, that's it. The world's going to revolve.
How do you do invisible? Because then are you naked all the time? How do you walk around?
Why are you naked?
Well,
I
because
suppose the clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You're
but
gonna get cold feet,
the
you're
answer
gonna
is
get
yeah.
arthritis.
Yeah, but the answer is yes. Yeah, you can walk. That's what I mean. Real world. So you got to live with it, whatever you're doing.
Well, if you want superpowers, don't do real world because then it's boring.
No, that's the whole point. If you said you could read people's minds, there you go. And the world isn't going to come after you because you just don't tell anyone. That would make more sense than flying. I mean, you could fly. You just
wouldn't
wouldn't
read
have
people's minds, find out that people
I'm not
are
asking,
even
I'm just
more
saying,
jerks than they
I'm just saying
are.
that the things you think would be good you couldn't live in a world like that because you'd just be getting studied. Like if you're flying, the military are coming after you. That's it. There's nothing.
Well, maybe
you're not
I can
having a life.
outfly them. So there.
Yeah, but then you're constantly being chased, so you're not going to want that.
Yeah,
so
but
what
they'll run
would
out of
you
time.
have?
Yeah, but then it'll be public. People will be like #free flying boy.
No, is there? I mean, what of the X-Men? Can you hear? Some of them can hear. Self-healing skin. You could get away with that.
Well,
Yeah.
no, because as soon as you're injured and nothing
Charles,
happened,
I don't think Andrew's taking this seriously.
I'm taking it seriously, but I'm saying, what's the point? If you just like straight away the army are going to stick you in
No,
the
but
bin,
that-
but
that's-
don't bother. Then
that's
don't
what-
bother with the question.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
but
too
that's
much, too much hassle. Too much
Because
hassle.
that's what the question is. That's the whole point of it. It's
The question
not,
is, this is a
basic
free
stuff.
podcast as we're wasting your time here.
no, but this is an actual good. This is a deep question because the whole point of the question is yes, the thing you think of would actually be a hindrance. So what if you could have any
Save on
superpower?
airfare.
Well, it's like the Spider-Man question, isn't it?
Okay, in real life, then they wouldn't be able to take me because the law wouldn't allow it. You can't just arrest people. What's the crime of flying?
No, because again, you're not taking it seriously. The reality
No,
is,
I'm taking it seriously.
No,
You can't
if
just
you were
kidnap
seen
people.
flying, what you think they're gonna go? What the hell is that? It's on the news channels. Everyone's going,
Yeah.
"What is
so
that?"
then, if it's
They will
all on
have
the
to
news
find
channels,
you.
how are they going to kidnap you then? They're going to be like, oh, he disappeared. I don't live in Russia.
No,
So
but
they're
the
gonna
whole
be like-
world would be going.
It's like
what
if
the hell is
aliens
that?
turned up and just
Yeah,
asked
but
for like visas and stuff. Like people would be like, I guess.
Yeah.
No, but if you saw
You
a
know,
flying man anywhere, the world would stop and everything would be focused on what the hell was that? We've got to
But
find
then-
that.
Which would
and
mean
when they
I
do
would,
find you,
which would mean I would be safe because if the whole world is watching, they can't do
Yeah.
anything to it.
Yeah.
No, it's not
Otherwise,
about doing.
how do people like Julian Assange or what's his face Snowden get by? I know he
No,
had to
but
hide
that-
out, but they
that's
couldn't.
not
The
s-
army couldn't just take him.
it would because
the
it's
whole
take-
world wanted him.
It's so shocking to see a human being
No,
fly.
because the world wouldn't be like, oh, okay, it's fine for you to dissect him. Nothing would happen.
No, I'm not
You'd
saying
be
they're
like,
going to
oh,
dissect
it's
you.
gonna be,
No, but the
they'd be like-
military
Would
can't
do
have
what?
that. No, but that's not. I don't know what they
do you mean
do.
they can't
but
have it?
You
They
can't
can't
just
do
have
it?
somebody flying around.
No, that's ridiculous.
They
If I was
can't
flying
stop
around
you.
on air, like in restricted airspace, or flying into
because
military bases,
it
but I'm
would-
just minding my own business.
The only
as a free
analogy would
person.
be is if an alien turned up, right?
Yeah.
That it's because it's such a shock. Or it would be so shocking to the world. You go,
Yeah.
oh, here's an alien. They don't go, oh well, we can't do anything about it. It's just like, the military would everything would close
Yeah, but
down
an alien
to get
doesn't
this
have.
person.
I have rights under the law. I'm protected. I have a
No, that
passport,
would
I'm a
if there's a
No,
flying human
no,
being,
you
that is
can't shit.
going to be
You can't make it up.
militarized.
You can't just make up like, oh, the army will kidnap you based on what?
But you
based
think
on what?
Okay,
Based on what?
Based on 50s
Based on what?
sci-fi films,
Exactly.
okay? That's what happens.
okay,
Superman
that's
is an alien,
mental.
so he
Do you
doesn't
think
have
that wouldn't
anything.
happen?
Yeah,
Is mental.
I think, yeah.
So if they now saw a flying human being, right?
Yeah.
All the news channels obviously go onto it. The world
Yeah.
would go, "Oh my god, there's a flying human being with nothing attached to them." You think the government would just go, "Oh, that's interesting."
No, they wouldn't go, oh, that's just interesting. But they would try and get you to come in for study. They come in for medical trials. But they can't
Yeah.
just.
Yeah,
What, the army's going to shoot me down out of the air?
No, I never said that, but what-
Ridiculous.
where-
you said
what
the
do you
army are coming after me to do what?
But they, of
He'd
course,
get-
they are.
he'd
The
get a
military
TV
is going to
deal.
get involved.
They get a TV deal.
Yeah, I'd be on
yeah.
a reality show. I'd be
Yeah,
rich.
exactly. They
There you
get
go.
interviews.
They'd be
all sorts of
flying
stuff.
boy.
That's a national defense issue. That's all
Why?
they care
How?
about.
How?
If,
How is it a national
if you were
defense?
suddenly strong or you had anything
Yeah,
special,
but I'm not suddenly strong. It's not like I can carry a bomb while I'm
No,
flying.
no, but I'm saying if you've got any special skills that like any take the X-Men or anything like that.
Yeah.
There's anybody like that, the military are immediately going to enclose
yeah,
around you.
they'd be watching.
That's
me,
it.
So
They're not
what?
going to ask you, "Oh, do you mind popping in?"
This is basically The
Yeah, but
Boys. Have you seen
What's
The
that?
Boys?
Yeah.
No.
It's an Amazon show, and basically the same thing is that they're superheroes, but it's kind of realistic, and they are kind of assholes, but they've got a PR company.
Yeah, that's what
And
would
there-
happen.
there
I
is
just
a
become
I
CIA
think I'd
famous.
heard of that.
There is a
Yeah.
CIA unit who are trying to keep them in line. So if they do dreadful
Yeah,
things,
that's
they are
all
do
that would
dreadful
happen.
things.
I'd just be famous.
No,
I'd be
no,
the
no.
famous flying person.
You,
and there
I
would
think
be
you're being
restrictions.
naive. The government
No,
would
I
go,
think you're
"What, let's
being
shut
because you don't
this
understand
down."
how celebrity culture works. As soon as you start, what are they going to do? You start saying like, oh well, now you're under arrest for what?
No,
For
look,
what?
if the government
what?
found out
I'd
somebody
Being
could,
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
if somebody thought they found somebody who's like an X-Men or whatever, he could
they'd
fly or
study
whatever.
me, but they would just do that. They wouldn't be like locking me up.
No, the government would do what they always do. They go, "Yeah, we don't care, but those laws are for certain things. This, we are taking this away and keeping it.
No,
That's it."
you'd be
Yeah,
too
definitely.
famous. You'd be too famous. You don't
So, Andrew-
understand the world. Like you're in the
definitely.
1950s. Going,
No, you're
it's
being
bad about-"
naive to how bad they
not
are.
at all. Not
And
at all.
Charles, what would you
Rubbish.
be or do?
I don't know. We sort of have this idea that like
Well,
for
you had an
instance,
idea. You're under arrest. The army's coming after you.
Yeah, but that is what would
Rubbish.
happen.
Rubbish.
we have this idea like if aliens landed, then they'd all cover it up and it would
Yeah.
all be secret stuff. But like nowadays, I don't know with camera phones. I don't know if you could. And like the public nature.
I used
of
to.
everything.
They'd all be like, you'd get over it after a couple of months. Honestly,
That's what I'm
people be like,
saying,
"That
yeah,
fucked
yeah.
up
You wouldn't
thing."
see it. It would be grabbed
would.
and taken away and explained with a fake story. Then they'd have you be studying it. That's exactly what would happen. You're not.
Not now.
They don't care
Not
about
now.
people. They don't care about people. It's national defence and it's
sorry,
militarising everything.
I'd be tweeting that I was flying, and everyone would be like, #flying boy.
Yeah, but then
live streaming
when
it,
they've got you, they say, "Oh yeah, we put out these fake stories," and everyone go, "Oh yeah, I guess it was a fake
No,
story."
people
'cause
would be like,
somebody-
"Oh yeah, it was CGI."
"Yeah, they would," but they'll put
They
out enough fake
wouldn't. They
stories.
wouldn't. No.
So Charles, what would you go for? Reality.
As a superpower,
It's got half keep your head down.
telekinesis, just so I wouldn't have to like do stuff. Yeah.
You haven't have to reach for the beer. you
Yeah,
just sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
go-
Just so I could go like get stuff done, like make a sandwich and stuff, like with my mind. That'd be
All right, here is another one then. So you've got an hour in a time travel, but you can only go to one place. What would you go and look at, or watch, see, be around? Birth of Christ, the
yeah.
it's a bit naff, but you're not gonna.
Stop.
I'll probably
you
go
getting
see
a few
some-
knocks on the head.
I'll probably go and see some big battle or something like Agincourt.
Oh,
or
that's
something.
nice.
So something about your personality. You've immediately gone to war.
I
So
don't know. Yeah, I don't
You got an
know,
hour
like,
or a day. You've got a day somewhere.
you've got a day.
So enough time
Yeah,
to take things in.
I suppose go. You know, you go and have a look at the crucifixion or something, or like.
It sounds good, but I don't know if that would. I go okay. So, I mean, unless you could say and go, I could speak to him. No, I'd say you can't get involved. You've just got to sort of watch things play out. But I don't know if that. I mean, it sounds like a good thing, but I think there's more important, like dinosaurs or something like that. Do you know, maybe
You'd
that
want to
would
go
be-
see something completely fantastical.
Yeah, you want to see something cool. Yeah.
So
Like
what?
the
Andrew,
creation
what would
of
you
the
go?
universe, something like that.
Yeah. Go
What
meet
would
a
you-
dinosaur.
Yeah.
What would you
Go
do
meet
to
a
Andrew?
dinosaur. Oh, I wouldn't do anything because if I had the power, then the military would stop me. So
The army would arrest you.
Yeah,
Be a time
exactly.
machine.
I like that you can stay in your naivety and think that
I like
that wouldn't
that. No,
happen.
you're the naive one. You
When
don't understand how the world
get
works.
to that level, your
No,
laws,
no,
your
no.
individuality
Some
means nothing.
some celebrity lawyer would come defend you. You'd have people going. They couldn't come to be like, "Oh, it was
Come and
CGI and a man
defend
on the
you.
string."
The government can't do shit. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think that they do? Like, we have this idea that like, oh, they're actually like kind of got their stuff. They kind of organized.
We're going to
got
find out
everything
next week, Theo, that Charles, that Theo's just started watching the X Files.
together. But this is the thing. This is why I don't believe in like conspiracies.
Mental.
Because
Because the government are too disorganized. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
why.
And they're
what
like,
you're saying is
"Ooh," and they're
conspiracies
like,
don't
"Oh, that's-
exist.
yeah. Most
Well,
of them
that's
don't.
mental. That's mental.
Well,
That's
most
no,
of
but
them
they
don't.
do. But they are quite obvious when
Yeah.
they do happen. These lies are always kind of exposed. Like the Iraq War, for instance, it's painfully obvious.
No, but that's
that, like,
low level stuff. That's low level
They
conspiracy.
lied to get us into a huge war in the
Yeah, but
Middle
that's
East.
still low level.
That's
I'm
not
talking
really
about.
that low level. This is
Okay.
a war that cost hundreds of thousands of lives.
But you could talk
and
about-
destabilize the whole region and cause
For 20 years.
geopolitical
And ongoing. But
yeah,
it's a low
terrorist
level.
attacks all over the place, all over
No,
Europe.
but yeah, but you're still seeing that is low level. That I know you think it in a small world.
Compared
That's
to
a
what?
big
All right,
thing.
let's hear a real conspiracy.
No,
inverted
but what I was going to
commas.
just bring up the obvious ones like UFO things. So you have people saying, no, they're around in the 50s, we worked on them, and this is the explanation and stuff that's come out now. That's a conspiracy. Now, either all those people were lying, or it's true and it's covered up. When things are that 1% level of importance, they are covered up. People say, oh, they can't keep secret. No, they
Yeah,
can't.
but your point is that no one saw it. Like, okay, so that however many people saw it, but it's not. That's not in the age of camera phones, is it?
What do you mean?
As soon as you have people, everyone filming me fucking flying around the world, they can't just disappear me.
No, but I think
go-
you're
Yeah.
assuming that the shock would be like as if
No,
somebody,
I'd be too famous. I'd be too famous as the flying.
Yeah, but that
guy.
doesn't matter. At that
It does
level,
matter.
they
No,
would
it
kill
does. It
people.
does.
Your
No, it doesn't.
rights mean nothing. There will be
No,
fake
not
stories
in
put out.
okay in Russia and China, yeah, but no in West, no, sorry, they'd be giving me no because you don't. I can't believe like Apple would be like, right, we're going to put this on Apple logo on his shirt, and that's going to pay that, and Apple paying the
Sponsorship,
fucking-
but yeah, the people would
all
be
the
looking
people
to
that are
adverts,
bankrolling all these all the governments, they would be like, no, this is great, this is great advertising.
It's cool. It's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
You
Everything
don't-
comes back to militarizing things. That
No.
everything comes back to that. If it was just a slightly strange thing, yeah, you would go, okay, well, the government is not that big.
If
a
it
deal.
happened,
But
if it
it's
totally happened, if it was
world-changing
like
stuff
if
I'm
I was,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah. But if it was in, that's what I'm saying. If I was in like some isolated hick town where there was no phone signal, and one day saw me flying and they called the police, and then it got into that. But no, if I just suddenly started flying around London and everyone saw it, I'd be having a sponsorship deal before I even landed.
No, why
It would be too. You're chatting rubbish. You
Why
live in
would
the
you care about
1990s.
sponsorship? What's
You're
that
a
to do with it?
10-year-old that like woke up and found.
I think
the internet.
like Superman wouldn't happen now. Like Superman, you'd have to
Not
change
like he is, yeah.
the
But he's
origin
got other
story.
things. He's got like lasers and he's super strong. I'm just talking like as a normal person flying around. So I wouldn't be a military threat. What am I going to do? Headbutt an aircraft carrier?
No, but it's a
I
threat.
love that you can
It's
fly,
like-
but you're still like kind of like just
Like
not
just
very-
normal. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be
yeah.
able to like fly up into the atmosphere.
What's the one
'cause I
with
freeze.
Will Smith? You know when he can.
Oh,
he's-
Hancock,
Hancock.
yeah.
Yeah.
What? I didn't see that film. What is the sort of
Not
story of
great.
it?
They're kind of
Because it seems like
aliens.
they've accepted as like a weird Superman or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, basically. But he's like a drunk and he's a liability.
But what's
'Cause
the
he's
world saying?
impervious. Well, he's invulnerable, so there's not much they can do about him, and he just
Yeah.
kind of does what he wants.
But like,
you know
where
what I
does
mean?
he come from? What's the?
What was his backstory? I think he was.
He's an
Is that-
alien.
Yeah, is that by an alien thing or something? Wasn't he?
No, he is an alien. Him.
Oh, he's an alien.
Spoiler alert for a 20-year-old film.
And why is he an alcoholic? Is he something happened?
Because he's
that
got no purpose, kind of thing. I think it's just.
And what
just a bit
what happens at the end? What's the arc of the film? Like, where does it?
I
what's
can't
the-
remember. There's like because Charlize Theron is an alien as well, and
I was
think
going to
they-
say there's got to be
they
someone
have
he has
like
to
they,
battle.
yeah, but they had their brains.
They get a PR
wiped.
firm or something in.
It's something there,
Improve
yeah,
his
like
image
Jason
and
Bateman
stuff.
has
yeah.
to- yeah.
Jason Bateman. Yeah.
Because I don't know if it was you, the thing you brought up. I don't know if you told me about this before about the superhero thing. It's actually supposed to be quite good. You know that they have a PR and it's like they're trying
The
to manage
boys.
the yeah.
The boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought somebody said to me, "Oh no, it's actually quite." Because somebody explained, I was like, "No, I'm not watching that." And they said, "No, honestly, it's actually done well." And I thought, and then you've mentioned, "Oh, he's got a comic." Have they already done a comic about it?
Yeah, no, they did comic. It's from a comic.
Oh, it's from. Oh, right, okay.
I've got the first 7 volumes.
Is that a book or? Oh, it's a comic.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, are they running out of superpowers? Are we now got the fast guy and somebody with a laser?
Well, they're
and-
all riffs on like there's
Justice League. Yeah. They're all kind of like.
they're all
DC, yeah.
stand-ins. Yeah, so they've got like someone who runs really fast, like the Flash. They've got an Aquaman. They've
Is
got
there
a
anyone
Superman.
that's?
Yeah.
Oh, you just answered it actually. Now I was
He's
going to
got
say.
gills and everything. Like
I was gonna
at
say-
least
It's
in
kind
this,
of
they-
shocking. Like that
Yeah.
first episode is kind of shocking when this girl gets Me Too. There's a new member to the. They have to do auditions. The superheroes to get to the superhero team. She gets Me Too'd,
Oh God!
and you're like, oh. God.
Did they explain the origins of where these superheroes are coming from, or is it a chemical thing just by birth?
It doesn't.
It's some chemically thing, isn't it? It's something that's.
I was just going to say what's the lowest level superhero? And then when you mentioned Aquaman, I thought, oh yeah, he is a bit of a joke.
Well, you've got the Mystery Men, haven't you?
What do they do?
It was a film. It's probably ahead of its time, really. But it's sort of mid-90s, mid to late 90s,
Late 90s. Yeah, I think.
and it's sort of the Supermen who are rubbish. It's like the superheroes, but they're rubbish. So
Like
like
what?
one can he does that. He sort of flings his hand, and then spoons come out, and
Oh yeah, that's pretty.
like Ben Stiller just gets very angry.
Ben Stiller. Oh, God.
Yeah,
throws
like,
bowling
that's his
balls
super-
around and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets like very angry, but doesn't really do it. It's just impotent rage. I'm trying to remember all the characters in it. It's sort of one of those films. It's quite good. It's not. It's almost really good, but it's fine.
Mystery
Had
Man.
they made it now, it would have been probably quite a fun sort of deconstruction.
Send
of,
it. Yeah.
a
It was
send
just
up
in
of-
that mini lull, wasn't it? Just before.
Yeah.
Is
the
there
X-Men.
anything of somebody can see the future? Is there anything, or is that too complicated for a story?
No, you've had plenty of films where people have. There's that one called "Is It Knowing?" where Nicolas Cage can see about 10 minutes into the future or something, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's
All-
like so that's how he can dodge, bullets and things. In terms of people being able to see into the future,
'Cause I don't know what the
Doctor
benefit
Strange
would be.
can't he?
Oh yeah, the blue fella.
Kind of, yeah.
Oh no, Doctor Manhattan, yeah, but I
Oh,
mean
Dr.
Doctor
Manhattan.
Strange, yeah. But Doctor Strange can see into the future. Doctor Manhattan exists all at once.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, he's,
But then
So it's not
because
so much
it's
he
quite a
sees-
complicated thing in a storyline to go, well, he can see the future. Because you go, right, well, that's because
Well,
now
that's what I
everything.
think. Yeah, that's what is very clever with the writing of Doctor Manhattan. Is that people saying, well, why don't you change these? Things
Yeah,
don't have
yeah.
to be like they don't. He's like, but it already has happened to me. Don't you understand? Because he lives constantly. So there is.
there is no past, present, or future. His entire
So what's
life
his
is
purpose?
occurring in the
How
same-
does he see his purpose then?
his
Because you go, well, I'm
purpose?
just going to do nothing. What if I
No, not.
if I know everything and nothing?
Yeah.
What do I do then?
What's sort of the thesis of the whole comic?
That
book, isn't it?
that's the point. Is that he's losing his character arc is he's basically losing his connection with humanity, and he's just becoming more and more disinterested in human relations.
So what
But
does
then-
he do? What does he see as his purpose? It's not to change anything. So what?
No, well, he just
Science
he
doesn't
eventually he does leave, doesn't he? He goes off to Mars.
Yeah, he comes back to intervene after pleading from Silk Spectre.
Yeah.
Essentially, she convinces him.
I know. I think we did speak about this before. Remember, I think I was telling you about the film with Christopher. We played Doctor Who, Christopher, the short-haired guy, about 10 years ago.
Christopher Eccleston?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In 28
The one
Days
where he's
Later, the soul.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and at the end, and the thing there is, because he realizes like everyone's killing themselves because of war, he decides instead of doing something for the afterlife, he decides to commit suicide, because then it kills all afterlife. There's nothing now because Jesus has committed suicide himself. It's vanquished afterlife, and because it spoke in this documentary sense about the whole thing that happened. And the woman explains the fact that why he killed himself, and she's saying, yeah, because he saw everyone trying to attack him, and you had the Muslim thing and the Christian, but he knew that if he committed suicide, it ended the afterlife. There is no afterlife. It took everything with him, because it's like a heretical thing. So he eats rat poison, and it's on the security camera that's been, his house was bugged, and he's eating rat poison. And she's saying, yeah, he did it because it means there's no afterlife now. It took it with, he commits suicide, it's all gone. There's nowhere to go. So everyone sort of started acting like the life they should have had, rather than thinking, I'll be better. And it got rid of everyone. There's no more wars now, which I thought was quite an interesting take. Because he knows he's doing it as well. He doesn't want to die because he's still a human. So at the end, he's saying like, I don't want to die, and he's in love with a girl, and he's like, I don't want to, but then he's sort of crying, and he just starts eating this fucking rat poison, knowing that everything's just I've lost her, she's not going to love me, they're after me, the police, they're killing each other. The dad's obviously like an alcoholic who the devil gets to his dad through him, and then starts to attack him. So he just goes bollocks to it to stop everything.
So it mirrors the last days of Jesus. And
I don't know. I'm not too sure.
You mean it's very like the Last Temptation of Christ, isn't it?
Well, similar thing, because I mean, Jesus could have not died. He could have, because he was God, wasn't he? So I mean, he could have made all the Romans disappear, and he could have saved himself. And he even could have saved himself on the cross as well.
So he didn't, because what?
Well, this is where it gets a bit, because I'm like, okay, he did it supposedly to conquer death.
But didn't he? It must have been
I
to
don't
benefit
necessarily,
humans.
because he dies and then he comes back to life 3 days later.
That's the thing I always find weird in that kind of, it's like, but then why doesn't he live forever as a kind of, then he's there all the time. It's like, and now I'm off to heaven after 3 days or whatever. It's quite wild, isn't it?
Yeah, this is like what this is where it sort of gets
Look at
a
us
bit
arguing
confusing.
about plot holes in the Bible.
Yeah, well, this is because I'm like,
Why did Jesus do? Yeah.
okay, yeah,
And why rise up again? If you're going to die and live for the thing, it gives a message. Don't raise up 3 days later again, because you're technically a zombie.
I suppose he's trying to break the because the Jewish conception of an afterlife is very, very different and than the Christian conception.
Oh, is it?
Yes, because I think with Judaism you get at the second coming you get raised up. You're dead, and then they will raise you up as a body, and then you get to live again. I think. I don't necessarily.
I think you do come back bodily. It's not so much a spiritual.
Yes, I mean, yeah. It's
back in the Garden of Eden, I believe.
Yes. So it's more of it's a slight different. It's a different conception than sort of we have as so the Christian countries. So I think they were trying to break. They were trying to do something different with that, and sort of he was saying that we put aside that the Jewish conception of the afterlife, and then we have something different now. So I think that was the symbolic act of that. But then it sort of gets very complicated, basically. Also, I don't really understand. I come a bit unstuck with the Trinity as well, because I'm like.
But what's the thing? He died for your sins.
Yes, and to free.
So did he
you
take? So
death? Yeah, as I said, these are platitudes. These are sort of phrases that I've heard, and I'm told when I've asked these questions, these are what I've been told. But then I'm like, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, what's the point? What's the actual point? I know what you're saying happened.
Yes,
but what's
this is what I've been told over it. It's a tautology.
Or what was at least the benefit of him coming back 3 days later? What was the meaning of that? Was he testing?
As I said, I think that's to show him conquering death, as it were.
But then, how did he go after that?
Well, then he becomes a spiritual being and returns to the right hand of the
So
Father.
he didn't come back in a physical form.
I think he did at that
He
point,
does come
yes.
back as a physical because
Yes.
that's the whole point is that they think
Yes, yeah.
I can't remember which disciple because it's not Peter, is it? It's
It's
first he appears
Mary.
to
It's
the,
Mary. No,
yeah,
it's,
first he
Mary
appears to the
Magdalene.
women, yeah, isn't it? It's to Mary Magdalene, and then he gradually reveals himself to the apostles, or the
Yes.
remaining apostles,
Yeah.
and then to the point that they're literally touching his. I think doubting Thomas touches the wounds and everything.
Oh, yes, he has the same
Pokes his
wounds,
finger
yeah.
through the holes.
Yeah.
Going.
Pokes his
I'm not
eyeball
sure.
to see.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's in the Bible. I can't remember.
Talking of religions, I was listening to Louis Theroux on his show. He's talking to Leanne, the Scientologist. I forgot.
Leah Rimini.
Leah Rimini.
Yeah.
And there was a thing she was talking about, like she basically got kicked out because she was being too strict with Scientology, because she was like one of the main. She was like quite obsessive with it, and obviously because it's a load of silliness. There was things that were, when you had a lot of money, you weren't actually, the rules didn't apply to you, sort of thing. And she was actually questioning them, go, no, he's not following the, Tom Cruise or whatever.
Tom Jones.
I mean, you never know, but no, Tom Cruise. She was saying, like, she went around his house because he was like at the top level, and they don't live the same Scientology. Like, they have their own wings and things like that.
I, for one, am shocked to find that the people at the very top of a religion organising it all aren't necessarily following the same rules.
Yeah, so she but her being involved, growing up in it, she was introduced to it as a kid. She was saying, because she's quite bolshy, she was saying, where so and so's supposed to be here, and where's he? But then they're having a go at her, saying you don't have authorization to question anybody above you.
Did they say to her, "You have no authority here, Leah Rimini"?
I mean, it basically
None
was that.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
But there was a point, and I thought, oh, it's interesting about Tom Cruise, because she said, look, he's obviously off the bloody charts, because the whole thing with Katie Holmes, and when rumours were coming out.
You mean
they
his
had-
theton levels? Yeah, they're
Yeah.
well off.
but there was rumours about him being gay and things like that. So they had to come up with this Katie. Is it Katie Holmes, the actress?
Katie Holmes, yeah.
The one who was jumping on the things saying, "Look how I'm love. I'm in love." It was all rubbish. But she said, like, they were around his house. When there's a small thing that happens and you go, "Oh wow," it goes against what you think of him. They're around his house, and it's him. And who's the main guy? The big guy in Scientology.
Miscavige?
Yeah, they're around the house together, and around Tom Cruise's house, and they go around there, and because she's like grown up in this thing, she's like the lawmaker in this thing, and they're around the house, and she says, "Oh, Tom Cruise invites us around. He's going to make us biscuits or something. He's going to make us cookies. That's it." And she goes, "The first thing went round, but somebody had already made the cookie dough and the mix." And she thought, well, you're not making us cookies. You're just taking the dough out and putting it in the oven. Anyway, so they're sitting there in the thing.
That was the thing that broke her.
No. So she said it was a little thing that, like, oh, you're going to cook a dinner, but it's already been pre-made, and all you're doing is putting it in there. It's not really. But anyway, she says, and at some point he goes to get the mix, and he can't find it. Like, somebody's moved it, and she said he starts screaming and shouting about, where's the mix? Where the F is this mix? And she was saying, like, oh, he's not all there. Like,
Yeah,
he
he's not in
started
control.
properly screaming and shouting. You think, so that goes against that PR thing that you see of him, that he started screaming and shouting. It's something to do with the chef or whoever cooked it. Effing this and effing and screaming. And like, everyone just sort of like sat there and go, oh yeah, he's a nutter. Yeah, everything you see, that's an actor. He doesn't stop being an actor because he's on in an interview. He's still an actor then. He's acting as who this person that he's created, this image of who he is.
Again, a lot of people just can get away with it. You know what I mean? That they've been surrounded by people who just allow them to behave like that. And it seems to be in these situations where the worse you're allowed to behave, then the worse people do behave. Yeah.
And it's that if you're an A-lister, well, two things: long enough, and if you're young enough that you don't actually know who you are yet. Because don't they say, I think it was Oprah Winfrey said it, if you're not famous by 30, then the fame will dictate who you are. Do you know what I mean? It will decide who you are. You have to get to 30 you have to be yourself before fame finds you. Because if you're too young and fame finds you, it will decide who you're going to be. Do you know what I mean? You haven't developed a personality. And he's got both. He was young as famous, and he's been doing it forever. So at a certain point, your brain can only hold on to reality for a certain point. Whereas if you've just heard yes, 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 yes for too long, it'd be different if you found fame now and you're 30 or you're 40. You sort of know a bit about yourself. If you find fame when you're 16 and you're an A-lister, you've never defined a personality of who you are. So you actually literally become delusional. You don't know the way the world works. You don't have any self introspection.
Well, yeah, and you have maybe a bit more. You've maybe had a job, and you've had a bit more of an experience in life. There's most people online, most online celebrities, or most people who stream, or most people on YouTube and stuff. I just think the way they talk, I just think if you've not had a job, you know what I mean? If you've not gone out and interacted with different types of people, you know what I mean? Who aren't just online, also people online who think similar to you and like all the stuff that you like. You've not been on the bus, you know what I mean? If you not just had those interactions with just different types of people who aren't you, you know?
Well, your character's built by sort of pushing up against things. Do you know what I mean? That's literally how you're developed as a human being, by being forced into situations, even minor, where you have to talk to people you don't want to talk about. You have to get up early. You have to, all those things create who you are by strengthening your sort of mental spine. And you think now go back to influencers, where you've been in your bedroom, 16, 17, 8, you've done no job. You've just been looked at. You basically think the world does revolve around you. Everything. I was thinking once, I can imagine that if an influencer was involved in a car crash, like a full-on influencer, that's all they've done, 16, 17, if they were in a car crash dying, would their natural instinct still to grab the video phone?
Probably.
Do you know what I mean? Above all else, there will be a few people out there that
totally.
I'm dying, I might die, but oh my God, let me film this. I have to film this. But you think of the mental health implications that got to come in the future, with all these people, with their job is just being looked at in the camera. It's especially these bedroom ones where they're just in the bedroom. It's not like they're even going around the country. You go,
imagine that.
You're not developing
being
as a
filmed
human
on the internet in your bedroom. Imagine that. Yeah.
And well, at least we get out the house now and again once a year. But
occasionally,
nobody's going, right, what happens with this in the future? Where does this go? Where do these people? How do they fit in? When they're not an influencer anymore, and they're over 30 and now they're not of interest to anybody. What do they do? Oh, rehab, mate. Bang it straight. If not on mass suicides, rehab straight away.
That's an interesting question. I don't know where some of these people are going to be. Are they going to keep streaming when they're 50, or like sort of Twitch streamers and stuff? People who,
because you're going to have no skills, and also your social skills are just going to evaporate. So if you have to go into a setting of working, you won't be able to handle that. You will have social issues. You will have
and your body
agoraphobia.
Would
Yeah,
well.
you mentally you have to be the center of attention. You don't know. You've developed to know you, because that's the thing. It's that thing of they've developed. There's no self-esteem. It's just the self-esteem through the eyes of other people. So when that's not there, who are you? You don't know. You've developed nothing. So, but honestly, it's going to be a massive, massive, massive mental health problem in the future, where all these people don't know what to. It's like the old Ikikomori thing that we kept talking about, but it's going to be that, but bigger. You're going to have a group of people that go, I don't know what to do. I can't handle society. I can't be out in space. I can't be agoraphobic, or I have no social skills. Maybe like an autism develop, where they can't be around people. They can't make decisions. They can't understand the flow of a work environment. They can't decide to do boring work because I've just been looked at. When that kicks in, mate, it's telling you, again, be another thing I'm talking about in the future. All this stuff's going to come out, and there's going to be a massive, massive, massive mental health problem.
Do you ever see that film? We should probably wrap it up soon. But do you ever see that film Surrogates?
No.
I know of it. It's the one where they have like robo sex doll versions of themselves, all young and beautiful, but they're living in little plug-in hubs, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're literally kind of like little tiny kind of pasty dudes, what I mean, women, and like they're all kind of like wizened and stuff, and they literally sort of have these sort of robot versions of themselves that they pilot around, And like it's got Bruce Willis, and his version obviously has hair, so
you can tell what year it is.
No, but he's just bald, bald Bruce Willis. But then they're like the perfect robot version of him obviously has lots of sweeping hair and stuff.
Well, this is the thing I worry about with it, not just technology, but like you having your own robot or your own lover doll and all that. You have to create your own little world that's just around you. You just watch what you like. You just fed the things that you've seen before. you basically become emotionally retarded, literally, to the point of a sort of psychological state. If it goes the way it's going, the world is just closing around you. What do you like? Oh, here's some more. What do you like? You don't like that? Push that away. You don't want to leave the house? Don't worry. We can do this thing here. You can come here. You can do your exercises. You can play computer games. You can do everything online. You don't need to leave the house anymore. And that is literally, then your body just atrophies. Because you're not social, your brain atrophies, you're not learning things, you become more and more insular, and then all the things you think you've got drop off, and then you're going to have like this. I think it would be more, as I said, to do with agoraphobia. I think it's starting with social skills are dropping off with kids now. They don't know how to. We've spoken before about an article was written about a lot of kids. We're talking online about they panic when they hear the doorbell, like they freeze because the adrenaline. They don't know. They're worried. What is that? Not fear. It's just I don't know how to go out and talk to people like that I haven't planned for. I can only do things
They've
through a
probably
screen.
got conditioned to it lately because
Yeah, it happens.
You know, because everything has to be ordered.
Even
I was
more,
going to say
yeah.
also, and Corona as well has been limiting.
Yeah, so that's on
people's
top.
interactions.
Yeah,
I feel, I hope, I feel, I feel sad for like kids, very young kids now growing up in this. You know, if you're 4, 5, 6, 7 or whatever, and you're learning that, you've got to keep distance from people, and you have to be kind of wary of people. They might make you sick. You might make them sick.
Yeah.
If you're learning that at a very, very formative, fundamental age, that social interactions are dangerous and you need to be careful of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand perfectly why. Then they should be cautious, definitely, but it might have a whole effect on the generation. You know.
Well, I said to mention this before about the thing in I've forgotten the name of it now, but in America, where people are getting the plastic surgery, and what happens is your face no longer moves normally, so your reactions with other people are slightly changed in a small way that you can't see, but you know there's something different, so that you then think there's something wrong with you, so you get more plastic surgery. And we spoke about it before. The example they use, I said, is like, it doesn't seem like a big deal till I say, okay, we're going to meet and you're going to tell me something bad that's happened to you and you want to sit down and talk to me. Instead of had the plastic surgery, just replace that with me wearing sunglasses. And now you're telling me about something bad happened. You can't, there's a thing like you're not taking me seriously. You know what I mean? Because I'm not seeing your movements of your eyes. You're right.
Yeah, I had some sunglasses.
Oh, yeah, no, but the thing is, it wasn't so much about the sunglasses, but it's what I was saying about hope we need to open up soon was because I thought if you do it for a few months, okay, it wasn't a big deal, but if we've done it long enough that people don't feel comfortable going back to not wearing a mask or we've done it long enough that I don't want to be a meter from you. Yeah, if you've grown up in that, that's going to come with psychological problems.
Yeah.
If you are a little thing like just seeing that all the time and not seeing the full facial expressions and it's, to do with micropsychology and things like that, it is just replace sunglasses and say you're not going to have that weird person, that very, very personal relationship with people if their face is always covered up. And over a long time, that's where you'll start to see the problems. But if we don't snap back, if we've been doing it for so long that we don't feel comfortable hugging people, for instance, or shaking hands that we've become used to, it's a small thing, but over time, that's going to lead to very odd things when we don't like being in spaces with people we don't know.
That's what I mean. If you're always cautious, if you're very cautious of every social interaction,
and that's what, as you said, if you've grown up in that, that's even worse. Because at least at some point
that's
you
the
knew,
norm. That's the norm. Then
people stay away from people. Don't go out. Oh God! Let's end on something nice. Andrew, anything nice happening in your world?
Yeah, same old.
Writing? What are you writing? Zombies? Vampires?
No, this is a sort of, I wouldn't say kids, young adult kind of thing. It's a pilot we worked on, me and this guy Tony, but then he wants to turn it into a film. So this is.
You were saying.
So you're expanding on it.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. But it's quite nice because it's an opportunity to. They're rolling it around in my head since we finished the pilot script. It's a bit like, I wish I'd done this different. I wish I'd done that. But now there is the opportunity to do that.
When did you
good old rewrite of it?
Yeah. Basically,
when did your writing career kick in? Like, when did you go from school to thinking, I could do this as a job, sort of thing?
Probably early 20s, I guess.
Were you just writing your own little things the whole way through, or did you decide at some point?
No, it came quite late. Like probably, I don't know, probably late teens, early 20s, starting to think, because you don't, particularly in England, I think you don't have like, we're not used to that entertainment. You just think, it's only these people can do this, and only these people can write that. And
I think it was Stephen. It might not have been Stephen Fry, but somebody said the problem with like teaching history and writing I think he was saying about the books that you're given to read as a kid. He said they're not what you want to read, and he said it acts as an antiseptic against wanting to do those things because they're forcing you to read things that are supposed to be that you're not ready for, you're not interested in. Oh, you should read Byron. You should, and people are actually turned off from it because of the things you've introduced to them too early, or that they're not interested, or are too wordy. But rather than think, how do we introduce them to writing? Let's give them the great works of. But that acts against what you should be doing. You should be giving them crap to read. To say, look, just read stuff. Don't worry about learning, because it actually puts you off with it when you're not ready to be reading certain things.
Get into reading, and then you can sort of work your way through the hit list, the good, the big works.
Yeah, you don't need 1984. you need 16.
I don't know.
I'd seem to say, what's the
readable? 1984.
Yeah, that was a bad example because it is actually quite good. But just the thing of just don't force things upon people because you actually put them off. Like it can work counterintuitively. What about your schooling? What did you do? What did you sort of decide what you wanted to do, Charles?
Me?
Yeah,
I'll tell you when I get there, man. Yeah.
I was gonna say. Well, you did philosophy, didn't you? Was it?
Yeah.
Or did you drop out of that?
No, I did have a degree in philosophy. Yeah.
Oh, you did get your degree.
Yeah.
Was that from Reading or what university?
No, that was from Exeter. In the end, I got chucked out of Birmingham. I went to Birmingham, got chucked out.
Good, well done.
And then I decided, and I worked for a bit and lived in Birmingham. Didn't really like it, and I was like, screw it, I'm going to go back and get that degree just to prove.
Prove them wrong.
Prove them all wrong. I don't know who they were, but I was proving it wrong anyway.
What qualifications did you get, Andrew? Uni?
Media practice degree, so not a real degree.
Oh, no, uni.
No, I did go to university, but it was media studies, so it's not a real degree.
Oh, that still counts.
You know what I mean?
You went to
philosophy
uni.
counts, like I'm sure, like media studies counts.
All right. Well, there you go. I mean, we've been to about 50 different subjects there. If that's not enough,
ping-balled around. Yeah.
The ping ball effects. Yeah. Well, there you go. So that was episode 98. Still holding off with a stick.
99.
Episode 1.
No,
99.8. Yeah. I noticed the problem is we started at 95. I thought it'd be quicker. If we had started at 90, we would have a lot more.
It's damned locked down.
I started too late. I started at 95 instead of 90. Well, that's the show. I mean, you know what we are, and you sort of got some more of that today.
You were warned.
You were warned. You knew full well what you were walking into. So that's it. Hopefully you've learned something. Maybe listen to other podcasts.
Yeah, that's what you've learned.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's the show. So thank you for listening, and we will be back next week. Ciao.
Cheers, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Here's your story, let's begin. The water's fine, come on, dive in. The future's here, it's right before your eyes. Step by step, you're on your way. You're welcome to a brighter day. Don't you know it feels good to be alive? You could be larger than